enough to really do any big time stuff. But then it depends on how you live your life. I don't need anything myself. I don't need to buy any more clothes or anything, you know. Whereas a wife needs more, I don't know.
I think we're kind of fortunate, our age group, because we had less
Yeah.
when we were.
We're depression kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were brought up not
And we've all-
aspiring or expecting anything.
No. And so it's
So
easier
that
for
carries
us.
through your life, I think.
Yeah, it does. It
Yeah.
did with me. It just
Yeah.
carries right on.
Yeah.
When you're a kid and your birthday comes and maybe your mother buys you one gift, you know, and even if you have a party and friends come, they buy you some small things. You don't get a lot of stuff, and you don't really want or need a lot of stuff. There were no big deal games. You know, we played Monopoly, we played, you know, these other games you could buy for a quarter.
And you know that you can go to the library and get books, and
Yeah.
so there's lots of ways we can entertain ourselves that doesn't require a lot of money. How has retirement changed your life?
Well, I immediately thought it hasn't changed anything at all, but then of course it has, because you don't have to work. It's a hard question. I'm just continuing on with what I used to like to do, only I got more time to do it. I used to paint when I was off work. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't think there's a lot of change.
The next section is love and romance. Do you remember your first childhood crush?
Yeah, I guess you'd have to call it that. There was this girl that was when I was a sophomore in high school, and I really was, I don't know if I even said more than 2 words to her except hello, but I liked the way she looked. And I eventually got up enough nerve to ask her out, and we went together for, I don't know, maybe, well, she was in my class in September of the year that I would have been in that class, and it took me until almost Christmas to get up enough nerve to ask her out. And we went together until maybe seemed like about the end of basketball season. So anyway, that was learning experience.
And what was her name?
Her name was, just a minute, Peggy Woodward.
Oh,
And, well, you know, we kept in touch throughout high school, but our romance was over because I think she threw me over. But it's not implanted in my brain that I was dumped. That we don't want to admit that, so we stopped going out, and she must have dumped me, but my brain won't accept it.
have you ever seen her at a reunion?
I saw her at a 50th reunion, and she mentioned some of these things, and the fact that we used to eat lunch together, and she told everybody about my massive eating habits at lunch. I took 4 sandwiches, that's 8 slices of bread. And she was still laughing about, and that wasn't just the 8 slices of bread, it was the fruit and probably cupcakes or something, you know,
Yeah.
I just ate like crazy.
Did you make your own lunch?
No, Mother made it for me.
So were you chaperoned when you went out?
No.
How old were you?
I was a sophomore in high
Okay.
school.
So that would have been
actually,
14, maybe
no,
15?
I may have been 15. but something like that. I didn't have a driver's license, that I know, because when I asked her for a date, she told me how to get to her house, and you turn left here and you turn right here. I said, wait a minute, I don't have a car. I mean, she was used to going around with these guys that had cars, but anyway, we got around that somehow. No, I think we must have gone to the movies. I can't think where else. I know we spent a few nights, she had a sort of like a room, a family room or something. It was separate from the house, and you could sit there and listen to music. And maybe we did that because she didn't want to walk down that big hill. She lived up in the richer part of town, where people had some money.
So how late were you allowed to stay out?
I don't think we had any.
You didn't have a curfew?
I was not, in those days, I was not one to go out all night or anything. And I guess this girl's folks didn't, must have figured I was harmless because I didn't have enough nerve to even put my arm around her.
Was she your very first real girlfriend?
I think so, yeah. I had, well, no, maybe not, because when I was in junior high, I had several dates with this other girl. But she always, when I left school, I'd leave by this certain door, and she was always there. And I thought it was odd that she always happened to be there, and she happened to be going the way I was going. I had to go down one of those streets to get to the Children's Hospital, and she lived down that street. So she just sort of bumped into me, and we just started walking together, and eventually.
Now that you think back, it sounds like it was premeditated.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Anyway, she was, that was the first actual girlfriend I had, but the other question you asked was a crush, and I don't think I ever really had a big crush on her. I just liked the idea of having somebody to go out with, whereas this other girl, the blonde, I really seemed to have some feeling
That
for
was
her.
the one, Southmore.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you want any more of this stuff, but then the rest of school, I just really just went out with different people, when, couple of days, and I did go out with Sandra Tucker when I was a senior, and we went out on quite a bit, but, my friend one of my friends was Dave Rosano, and he was he was a big talker. He could always talk and always tell jokes, so when we double dated, he always kept the conversation going, and that was always something I worried about. Having dead air time is not, I just didn't, And so Dave just kept it going. So we went on a lot of double dates with different girls.
Do you see him now?
No, but I saw him at one reunion way back, and maybe 10 years ago, and he was a counselor at a high school in Richmond, and he probably was a very good one because he had a lot of humor, and I just had the sense he was good.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I ever tried to contact him since.
How old were you when you gave or received your first kiss?
Oh, boy, I didn't have enough nerve to kiss either one of these girls. Somewhere along the line. I can't remember, but would have been in high school with one of these girls I went out with.
I think girls remember that more than boys do.
I remember being in the back seat with one of these girls, but I don't remember.
Yeah. So you didn't really have a steady girlfriend except maybe the one you talked about in your Southmore. You considered her a steady girlfriend for some.
I think I didn't go steady with anybody, but Sandra Tucker was more, I would say, more of my girlfriend. But I did I was going out with this other girl kind of at the same time, so no, I guess not. I didn't, I don't know, I've never really found anybody that,
Was there anything considered proper romantic behavior at that time?
well, just things that you shouldn't do.
And the only problem is they've gotten worse now.
Yeah, I'm sure, but, you know, my problem was I figured I was expected to do certain things. And so then I put my arm around some girl at the show, that's okay, and then if I did anything else with my hands and she, you know, pushed my hand away, then I was kind of relieved that I didn't have to, because I don't have to, you know, 'cause I tried and you know, I just thought I was expected to do this stuff.
How did you meet the people you dated as an adult?
What do you mean? That
Well,
people-
after, you know, I would consider like 19, 20, maybe
Okay.
college years.
How did I meet him? Well, okay, so I get out of high school and I went to junior college and I met this girl that I went with for quite some time. And well, she was just a student there for the first semester I was there. And then when I actually met her was the next semester, she was working somewhere, but she had graduated. But I met her in school, I mean there at school. And as far as,
How about the service?
I wasn't fortunate enough to meet too many girls in the service.
Did you go to USO or?
Yeah, but, you know, I spent most of my time at Fort Lewis, Washington, and there was a giant naval base, there was a Coast Guard base, there was Air Force somewhere near there, and this tremendous Army base, so there were all kinds of guys around, and very few women.
Competition for
So,
the few women.
yeah. But then I met Betty, my future wife, at a party somewhere in Oakland. And well, that's a whole long story, I don't know.
I think we
Yeah,
have that
okay.
coming up. So did you have a favorite story you'd like to tell about dating as a single adult?
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Were you happy being single?
Must not have been, because I decided to get married. It was time for me to get married. I was 23, I think, and well, when I met Betty, that's I didn't want to be with anybody else but her.
So that's kind of what's coming up now, courtship and marriage. So you were single until you were 23, and you met Betty at a party.
Yeah.
What attracted you to her?
Well, at this party, we just met, that's all. Hello, how are you? You know, and that's all. And I was attracted to her, but I had been working nights. It's another job that I didn't mention before. I worked at the American Can Company, worked nights, and that was in Oakland. And I got off work and went to this party. I got off at 11 and went to this party that was still going on. And that's where I saw her. She was with some other guy. And so I didn't start going out with her till, you know, several months later.
So what attracted you to her?
I don't know, we just hit it off the first, right from the start. I liked the fact that you could talk to her, and I almost from the beginning got the impression that I could say anything I wanted to, and I've always held back because of my personality. I always just held back with any personal information or anything.
How long did you date before you became engaged?
Oh boy. Our first date was February 14th, Valentine's Day of 1953, and I got drafted 1 month later, March 13th. So we only had that month, and we went out several times, and I did write to her after I got drafted, but we weren't that close until I came home a few times, and we went out again, and we became closer, and she was going out with other guys, well, which she wasn't gonna wait for me, and let's see. Well, we never really did get officially engaged, but it just.
So how did you
by
pop the
time-
question?
No, I didn't. By the time I got out of the service, it was just taken for granted that we were gonna get married, and Eddie never lets me forget about that, even to this day. I've had it to go over again. I would get down on my knees and bring flowers and.
You have to do that every anniversary?
That's what they should do.
So what did your family think of your fiance?
Oh, I think she's acceptable by, by the family.
What does her family think? What did her family think of you?
Well, I don't think they're very Catholic people, and they didn't really appreciate the fact that I wasn't a Catholic. And they had the same opinion with one of the other sons-in-law. But they get over it.
Where did you live, and where did Betty live before you got married?
Well, she lived at 2326 Oregon Street in Berkeley. Thornwall 30520.